Hi, this is Wanderings with Adam Law. Today's topic is the imperfection of the characters in the Torah. A lot of people like to believe the characters in the Torah, and I'll start with the basics: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, Solomon, etc. That their perfection is obvious, and that they were perfect people sent into this world to have some sort of stellar, divine type of manifestation in the world. This is not the truth. The characters in the Torah are flawed people. And what makes them so great, and why we can relate to them, and why they are so eternally significant, is because they are human and they are flawed. And that it's not that their flaws hold them back, it's that they build character and develop from their flaws and get greater and greater and greater. The characters in the Torah that become eternal, important characters, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, etc., are the ones that make those mistakes, but they grow from them, and we see how they grow from them. The characters in the Torah which don't live up to those standards are people like Adam and Noah, who start great, but they fall and they never really get up back again 100%. Religion is very different between Judaism and Christianity. There is not a true connection between Judaism and Christianity in this particular area. The character of Jesus in the New Testament, in the earliest accounts of him, was a human being, and that's who he was. The idea that a human being should become divine and should become perfect, this ideal was a Roman Hellenistic idea of what they thought the ideal person should be. That is not the Jewish concept. The Jewish concept is that people are flawed, and what makes them great is their ability to get over those flaws, to develop from them. So let's talk about the character of Abraham. He has this slight flaw that happens when he has the bris ben abasarim, the covenant between the parts. And there, God promises him great things, great descendants, and of being a great nation. And Abraham says one tiny little thing. He says, B'ma'ida, how will I know? And then God says, know this, your children will be slaves for 400 years. The Gemara and the Maharal afterwards speak about how this one little flaw of doubt for 1 second, that Abraham didn't believe it was going to be true, that he was going to inherit all this, caused the exile for all those years of the Jews for his descendants in Egypt. So too Sarah had a little moment of doubt about having a child. I mean, why wouldn't she? They were old people. But it's their growth that makes them great. And it leaves us a real problem. It is really the main difference between Judaism and Christianity, is that we don't believe anything other than God is God. We don't believe a person has the potential to be God. People are flawed, but it's their stumbling and their growth that makes them great. And that's why we learn from them. That's why they're inspirational. Because think about a movie where you just have some guy like Rambo or Commando or something, and they're this awesome guy who is totally unstoppable. Yeah, it's fun for a couple hours, but after that, it loses its touch. What's great is seeing characters who go through struggles, who grow. And that's who we relate to, and that's what inspires us. The danger of seeing people as perfect is this sort of falsification, turning somebody into something that they're not, deification of a character. And what happens when we find out that stuff isn't true is we fall. I think there's a similar movement among people with rabbis today. Sometimes they say, my rabbi told me this, or my leader told me this, or whatever. And then we find out that person, that rabbi, or that religious leader was wrong, and they made a mistake. And that mistake may have terrible implications. In the Torah itself, it does allow people to be imperfect. There's all sorts of sacrifices that the community has to make if the leader made some mistakes. Another example is in the Catholic religion, they say the Pope is infallible. Well, some popes did horrible things. The popes were basically not helping the Jews in the Holocaust. So those are great people? No, they're human people and they made mistakes. And if we pull people as infallible, we lead to this incredible disconnection that's going to happen when we see them that way. I think a lot of people leave religion, as I said in my previous video, because they see people letting them down. If you think your rabbi or some rabbi is perfect and then he lets you down, how is that going to affect your opinion of God, the community, rabbis, etc.? So you need to have your expectations lower and realize the growth is in the individual's character development. There's no such thing as a perfect person. There's no such thing. Even the great tzaddikim have struggles on their level. And who is greater than the patriarchs and the matriarchs? And they struggle. I don't see why it's so difficult for us to understand that the great people nowadays how much more so must they have struggles, and they're real people. And that's the way that rabbis, and I know because I am one, want to be seen. We don't want to be seen as a perfect person. We want to be seen as a person who's there with you to connect. At least that's the way I feel. Others may disagree. Anyway, it's important to see the characters in the Torah and every person as flawed. And the only perfection is the perfection of the immortal, invisible, awesome, indivisible God, the oneness of the universe, the oneness of God beyond the universe, the Holy One, blessed be He. That is the true unity. That is the true completeness, infinity. The finiteness, the brokenness is only in us people. And even the greats, we break, but we get fixed. We get better. And that's what's inspiring, and that's what's real. That's what the Torah is coming to teach us. The patriarchs, the matriarchs, rabbis today, no person throughout history has ever been perfect. Rather, it's a struggle to become greater, which makes us truly great. This is Adam Law with Wanderings. Be well.